After everything was swept away in my life, I was put into a series of slave labor and concentration camps. I know that you have read stories about camps. You read stories about the Holocaust. I know that you have recoiled, and perhaps you were even a little bit frightened to come tonight, afraid that I will burden you with the type of stories one usually expects from a survivor, which will send you home to unspeakable nightmares. You can relax right now. This is not what I'm going to talk about. Not because it wasn't true, unfortunately it was only too true, but because another dimension lived there which I feel has never been sufficiently illuminated. And that is the love, the sharing, the caring, the friendship, which was the sustaining force, which gave one hope for the ultimate goodness of humanity. I should like to tell you the story of a childhood friend of mine. Her name was Edythe. She was your age. When the war came, we became very close. Together we were sold on the slave markets of Germany for the royal sum of 10 German Reichsmarks for life, approximately $3.50. In the camps, we became to each other the only family we had. Edythe left me many memories, and the memories of two incredible gifts. The first one was in a bitter camp called Greenberg, where one morning on the way to the factory in which we worked, she found a single raspberry in the gutter. She carried that treasure in her pocket all day long to present it to me that night on a leaf which she plucked through the barbed wire. Can you imagine a world in which one single raspberry, which you have seen, becomes your entire possession, and to give this treasure to a friend? Tragically, she never tasted another raspberry again. Edythe died in my arms on a wet meadow in Czechoslovakia. She had just turned 18. I think of her often. She asked me to promise her to go on for one more week. A week in those days was a very long time. A week later, exactly to the day, perhaps to the very hour of her death, we were liberated by American forces. My liberation came after 3 years of ghetto life, 3 years of slave labor in concentration camps, and when on January 29th, 1945, the Americans, the Russian, and British forces were crushing Germany to our ultimate defeat, there were still people as we were within the camps. And our orders were to be shipped to Oranienburg. Oranienburg was a murder camp near Berlin, such as Auschwitz was in Poland. Blessedly, Oranienburg fell into the hands of the Allies, and we started a march known in your history books simply as the Death March. Ours was not the only one. There were numerous death marches through Germany at that time. We started on the 29th of January. There were 2,000 girls in my column and another 2,000 which came from Auschwitz. On May 7th, on Liberation Day, there were fewer than 120 left. I saw a strange-looking car coming down a gentle hill. Its colors, thank God, no longer green. On the hood of that vehicle, not the white swastika, but the white star of the American army. I stood speechless. unable to comprehend that this was freedom. There were two men in that vehicle. One jumped out, came running toward me. I looked at this first American I had ever seen with awe and disbelief, as if he had come from heaven. But I had been well indoctrinated by the Nazis to identify immediately that we were Jewish. I looked at him and said in a small and frightened voice, "We are Jewish, you know." For a long time he didn't answer me. And finally, his own voice betrayed his emotion as he said, "So am I." And then he asked an incredible question. He asked if he could see the other ladies, a form of address unknown to us for 6 years. I told him that most of the girls were inside, they were too ill to walk. He asked me to come with him. And by doing so did something which at first I didn't understand. And when I understood it, I could not believe it. He simply held the door open for me and let me precede him. And in that single beautiful gesture, he restored me to humanity again. I should like to give you a picture of this moment. I weighed 68 pounds. My hair was white. I was in rags. I did not have a bath in 3 years. And here was this handsome young American officer holding the door open for me. By what miracle could I have conceived the magic that I'll marry him a year later, and he will bring me home to this beloved place I proudly now call my own. And this is what I want to tell you, my young friends. Nothing is impossible for you. With freedom, with love, with direction, with education which is yours, you can achieve anything you want to do. Our country, our beloved country now, has a lot of pain. The pain of what happened in New Orleans, the pain of September 11th, the pain of so many things which unfortunately have also happened in the past. But you can rise up and declare war on pain and inhumanity. The great words of Churchill rang out when he said, "I can give you nothing but blood, sweat, and tears, but we will go to victory because we are the ones that care for goodness." You can do so much. You can help healing this country and healing the world. And I have every confidence that you will do so.
Gerda Weismann Klein had a powerful effect on all of us who heard her speak.
What do you most want the kids to leave this conference with today?
How lucky they are, what great opportunities they have, and with it, of course, goes an obligation to form this world to be a better place, more caring.
I asked her about her obvious connection to the students.
You know, because when one reads of horrors or one sees them on television, there is no direct connection. But I think if particularly young girls, when they identify with me being 15 years old or 16 or 17, and read some of the things like other girls, you know, the things of boyfriends, what have you, there is a much more human connection. And then in the light of that, they see how much they have been taken for granted and what opportunities they might have.